Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us from all around the world. How amazing. I love the energy here in New York, Miami, Minneapolis, London. Welcome, 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 everyone. I'm so excited to dive in today. Grab your favorite beverage and we will get started. Netherlands, Trinidad, London, Berlin. Wow, amazing. We have people from all over the world. This is so cool. We're going to have such an amazing time together. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Now, before we dive in, I have 3 questions for you. And if the answer to any of these questions is a yes, drop a yes in the chat. Put a yes in the chat if you have ever tried to convince your team to support your recommendation, but failed. You went to your team and you're like, here's what I think we should do. And they're like, nah. And you just got shut down right away. Yes, 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 yes. Ooh, lots of capital yeses coming through. Yes, exclamation marks. Definitely been there too. Now, put a yes in chat if you're not sure how to get buy-in with your stakeholders. You're not sure how to convince your manager to let you work on this new project, how to get your manager to stop piling on so much work on you, how to push back to them. You're not sure how to convince your cross-functional partner to change the way that you work together, to change the process. Yes, 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 yes. A lot of yeses coming through. And finally, put a yes in chat if you want your ideas taken seriously. When you speak, you want people to be excited about implementing your ideas. You want them to seek out your opinion. You want to be taken seriously, seen as a valued partner. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, yes. Kate, I love that. I love that energy. Trisha, yes, yes, yes. Triple yeses. Yes, please. Yes. Smiling face. I love it. Definitely been there. Hi, everyone. I am Shivani Berry. I am the CEO and founder of Arise Leadership. We offer online leadership programs to help women like you move into management. And I am so, so excited to be here because I have been in your shoes. I have struggled with all of these things. And because of this, it slowed down my own career growth. It hurt me from getting promoted faster. It was stressful. It was painful, quite frankly. You know, I remember when I was a product lead and I was trying to get promoted to the next level. I was trying to figure out, how do I advocate for myself? How do I drive alignment? I remember in one specific moment, I was meeting with our team to align on what our product roadmap was going to be. And in here around it is, you know, we've all been in those kind of meetings where, you know, you're aligning on what the quarterly goals are. And there it's really meant to be, I was preparing for it. I felt so good about my idea. I'd done so much research. I knew that the feature I was going to recommend is the best feature for us to prioritize. And when I walked into that meeting, I felt so confident because I thought it was obvious why this was the right thing for us to prioritize. We've all been in this situation. I walked in, sat down, plugged in my laptop, started sharing my screen, and started talking about why this idea that I have. I'm like, this is what we should prioritize, and here's why. Very quickly, I was met with a lot of confused looks and some really annoyed faces. But I didn't notice it. I was so oblivious. I was like, I know I got this meeting. I know this is a good idea. But then I got started asking a bunch of questions. Why should we build this feature over this other feature? Isn't this going to require a lot of work? Have you considered X? Yikes. The meeting started going downhill right then. I walked out of the meeting feeling like a failure. My team didn't understand why we should prioritize this roadmap. They felt like I was forcing the ideas onto them. I was so confused. I knew this was a good idea, so where had I gone wrong? After a lot of reflection and some really painful feedback, I realized that I had not gotten my team invested in my idea. I just assumed that we all would be on the same page. I hadn't taken into account their own goals, the information that they have. And that was such an aha moment for me because this wasn't the first time this moment had happened to me where I had rubbed people the wrong way. I've done it many times before, and it was actually starting to build tension in my team. My team and I was rubbing them the wrong way. We weren't jiving. We weren't able to align on what we should work on in the next quarter. And I was losing trust with my manager. I wasn't seen as someone who could just take on an initiative and just get it to completion, who could lead my team. That's what I needed to do. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be someone that people trusted, that would look to them, I wanted to be looked at, to be able to drive things forward, to get people aligned. I wanted to be seen as someone that the executives could just tap, be like, here, can you take on this project? Can you go drive, make sure everyone's aligned here? And I wasn't doing that. It was stressful. I was unhappy. It was slowing down my own growth. When I realized that the key issue that I was having was I wasn't able to get people on board with my ideas, I went and learned how to get buy-in. How do I actually strategically, step by step, get people on board, get people excited, get people bought in? When I learned how to do this and started implementing this, it was a game changer in my career. I kid you not, I got promoted right away. I was able to have a bigger impact on my team. My team and I were jiving, we were thriving, we were hitting our goals. And my impact exceeded not only my team, but also our executives, and even beyond that. Our CEO saw the great work that my team and I were doing, and he tapped me to go present about this work at our company's board of directors meeting. So here was I, someone not very senior, at the board meeting for a multi-billion-dollar company, presenting to our board of directors, many of them who were C-level executives at Fortune 500 companies. Out of that, there was a former CFO at Best Buy. She became my mentor coming out of that meeting. Now, if I hadn't learned how to get buy-in, I wouldn't have gotten these amazing opportunities. And that was such an aha moment for me, realizing that this is the one critical skill that we need to know, that I need to know, in order to not only drive alignment, in order for people to hear my ideas and value them, in order to build better relationships with my team, and in order to get promoted faster and get growth opportunities that I couldn't even imagine. But the sad truth is I realized that, I have done all the things leading up to that point that you should be doing to excel in your career, including I went to Harvard Business School to get my MBA. That's where you're supposed to go to learn how to be a good leader. But I didn't learn how to get buy-in in the classroom. I learned it all on the job by making a ton of mistakes. And I noticed everybody else did too. And this is what led me to quit my job in tech leadership and found Arise, to create a safe space for women like you to learn these practical skills that you need to know in order to get promoted faster, in order to have that respect, in order to have a seat at the table. Our mission is to elevate 1 million women into leadership. And so today I'm going to share the strategies, the tips, the tools, the paths that I took and thousands of our arisers have now taken to be able to get that buy-in, to be able to move up faster in your career. So I'm going to share a bunch of free stuff with you today on how you can go do that. And then later on, I'll share a bit about the leadership accelerator that we run for women to help them move into management. Now, I want this to be really fun and interactive for you. So if something's resonating, drop it in the chat. If you have a question, drop it in the Q&A icon that's in the bottom right of your screen, your Zoom screen. All right, let's dive in. So here I'm going to go through some strategies, and towards the end, then I'll share some information about the program, and then I will answer any questions that you have. And again, I want this to be interactive, so drop in your questions. I want to make sure this is really, really valuable for you. So drop in the chat, why do you think some leaders at the top ascend faster than others? Why do you think some people get promoted faster than others? Drop it in the chat. Maybe it's right place, right time. Luck, skills, what is it? Charisma, connections, better relationships, who they know, good at talking in meetings, nepotism, promoting themselves, time. These are really amazing. Sponsors, branding, confidence, right chemistry with those in charge, jockeying for visibility with the influential people, experience, asking for what they want, connection, showing up, yes, ability to demonstrate impact. Yep. These are all right. And really the number one thing is that the leaders at the top are skilled at influencing. They know how to get people on board with their ideas. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Even as a manager, you don't actually do the work. You guide your team to do the work. So it's similar to a conductor at a symphony. She doesn't play the music herself. She guides the musicians to play beautiful music. So if you want to achieve what the executives that you admire at the top have achieved, you have to develop these skills too. You have to be able to get people to follow you even in hard times by practicing these skills. And, I found it really works. So this is my team and I celebrating 6 months after I had that blow up I just shared with you. We had a successful quarter. We launched our product in time. We hit our goals, and we're out here having a team celebration. But none of this would have happened if I did not know how to get by it. Our team would not have been successful. I would not have been successful. This is how powerful and critical these skills are that we're going to talk about today. Because the thing is, great ideas aren't enough. I hear this way too often. Yeah, but my idea is really good. I was guilty of that mistake. But think about it this way. Your company sells great products. Yet your company has a large sales and marketing department and spends a ton of money, millions, if not billions, on convincing people why they should buy your products. Even Apple. You're probably using one or more of Apple's products right now. Apple has amazing products, yet it spends over $2 billion on marketing every single year. If Apple has to market its products, you have to market your ideas. This is not if I build it, they will come. If I have a good idea, people will follow. This is not Field of Dreams. You have to break it down for people. They're busy. There's competing priorities. Why should people follow your idea over something else? Why should they give you the attention? And around this time, you might be thinking, yeah, that makes sense, but some people are just naturally born with it. People are just, some people are just good at influencing. We saw it pop up too. People just know what to do. Well, the good news is there is no secret language to influence. Anyone can do it, even introverts. It doesn't have to feel political. It doesn't have to feel icky. It can actually feel very organic. It's much like, baking a cake. So while there's no secret language, there's a step-by-step formula, similar to when you learn how to bake a cake, there's a recipe. And so initially, you put in the flour and the sugar and the eggs and you mix it together and then you put it in the oven. I'm sure the first couple of times when you baked a cake, it sucked. But then you kept practicing and it got better and better and better. It's the same way with influencing. The more you practice, it'll get better and better and better. And so we'll go through like the specific steps that you can take to help you implement this around it. And you can see immediate actions. For example, this is Althea. She was, before joining our Rise Leadership Accelerator, she was struggling to work with a couple key dominant personalities at her work, including the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. For her role, he was a critical stakeholder. He needed to be able to sign off on her initiatives. But he wasn't respecting her opinion. He was excluding her from meetings. When she spoke, he didn't really listen. It was hurting not only her team's ability to drive an impact, it was hurting her chances to get promoted. And I think this is a big thing that we often don't miss. When you are not able to have your ideas heard, valued, and accepted, it's not just a temporary hit. It actually has a long-term impact on your career. And Althea realized this. And plus, it was so stressful for her every single day. It was so grueling. Many of you have worked with difficult stakeholders. You know how toxic it can be. You know how mentally draining it can be. And she's like, I need to make a shift now. And that's why she joined the Leadership Accelerator. She was able to use the step-by-step playbooks that we introduced to her in the program to deliver feedback to the CTO about how his actions made her feel. Can you imagine that? Telling your senior executive that they are making you feel attacked. That is so scary. That can totally blow up in your face. But the conversation went so well because she had practiced it within our program. She had used the proven frameworks to actually deliver that feedback, that they had a breakthrough in the relationship. He now comes to her to seek out her opinion. That's the dream, right? So before I introduce you to how to get buy-in, I want to share with you why we often fail to get buy-in. We fail to get buy-in for three big reasons. One, we assume that the right answer is obvious. We forget that everyone has different contexts than us, different set of goals, different set of motivations. That was my big mistake when I was going in to align my team on what we should prioritize in the product roadmap. I forgot that I have different information. I had done all this research, which they didn't have access to. Also, they have different set of goals that they're trying to solve for. The second reason, they're up against a time crunch. I don't have time to go talk to my coworker to get their alignment. I just need to get this pushed through. And third reason, fear of dissent. Yeah, my manager's going to push back on me, but before my teammate can say no, I'm just going to jam this right through, sneak this in. Now you're probably smiling to yourself being like, yeah, I've done this before. And you know that you might have had success short term, but in the long term, it erodes trust in you. People trust you less. They think it can be shady what you're doing. And you have problems on your project. And so it's a very short-term win that only works once or twice. Afterwards, people don't want to work with you, or they micromanage you because they don't trust that you will actually get things done. And that's why it's so important to invest the time to implement the Ascend framework to get buy-in. A step-by-step proven framework used by thousands of high-achieving people out there to help them get buy-in on their ideas. And really, you can use this in any situation. So really, it's around building allies, storytelling, co-creating, so getting people invested in your ideas, empathetic listening. This is the one when I first learned about it, I was like, yeah, listening. But I realized that actually when I share my ideas, I'm often so focused on delivering my idea and thinking about what I'm going to say next, that I'm not really even thinking about what that person is thinking or what are they saying. And they can sense that, and that actually hurts the conversation and our relationship. Numbers and data and demeanor, your presence. How are you showing up? Now, you can use this in any situation, up, down, or across, to get support in your recommendation, to flag a problem happening on your project, to align on what new process is, to drive alignment on what the status should be, on next steps, even for your own personal growth, to ask for a promotion, a raise. So we're going to go through the three critical areas today: storytelling, co-creation, and demeanor. Now, let's dive in. And really and I think it's so important for us to cover this right now, is because things are really shaky in the markets right now. And so you need to, more than ever, you need to make sure that you are seen as irreplaceable at work. You need to make sure that your ideas stand out. People see you as a valued team member. And as you apply this framework, you will start working towards that. So I'm really happy you're joining in here because it is so critical to do this now. So let's talk about storytelling. Storytelling is about bringing people together to inspire and motivate them. You know, so many of us aspire to be that, because think about your favorite leaders. Think about how good they are trying at getting people excited about what they're working on, getting people to move forward on it. Now, storytelling at the foundation has two components. First is the message. How do you create a narrative that resonates with your audience? How do you break it down so your audience can really clearly follow you? I have been terrible at that in the past. Again, I would come in and be like, yeah, so here's what the idea is, or we should do this. And I would forget that people don't have the same context as I do. Or they're coming in from a different meeting and they have no idea what I'm talking about. And so really, or they have different goals. And that's why it's so important to build a muscle around, like, create that narrative that makes sense, that clicks with people, that they're like, yes, this is important. I should listen to this. And the second part is your delivery, to make sure it hits home. Put a yes in the chat if you are guilty of rambling. You add a lot of backstory, you add a lot of context, a lot of background, you tend to ramble a lot. Put a yes in the chat if that's you. Yes, heck yes. Hand raise, oh yeah. Okay, so this is you. Here's a couple of strategies for you to help you be more concise. Guilty, definitely. Apply these three strategies. First is cut the jargon. and the backstory. You don't have to use fancy words. Sometimes we want to use fancy words because we want to sound really smart, but actually that backfires on you. Make it really easy for people to follow you. And then cut out the backstory. People have short attention spans, especially these days when everyone's burnt out. Many of your meetings are on Zoom, which is easier to zone out, which, by the way, I hope you're not doing that right now. And really, so just think about, what does this person really need to know to make a decision? And put everything else in the appendix, or just get rid of it. If people have questions, you can always bring it back in. Then second, share a roadmap. Share an agenda up front with what they're going to get out of the meeting to set expectations. And then share a roadmap always. So always number your points. Rationale number 1, 2, 3. These are really important to help you be able to, one, think about these ideas, organize these ideas in a linear framework in your mind, and it also makes it easier for your audience to follow you. And third is use the active phrases instead of inactive, passive. So saying something like, this deadline must be hit, instead of deadlines are missed too often. The first one is so much stronger. So being really mindful of how are you phrasing this? But the biggest one, the most immediate one is think about how much backstory am I adding in, and getting rid of that as much as possible. And you'll be surprised how much you can actually get rid of to help you have this conversation in a more impactful way. So for example, this is Kendall. So Kendall is a marketing manager at Box. And when she was going through the program, she was week 4 of the program. She got dropped into a last minute meeting that her manager couldn't attend. Now, we've all gotten dropped into last minute meetings, so you know how Kendall's feeling at this moment. She is stressed, anxious, panicking, okay, I have a meeting in an hour. I need to prepare for that. And I want to make sure it goes well because my team is depending on me. Now, to make things even harder, in that meeting was a really difficult stakeholder that she has struggled to work with. He tends to disregard her opinion, cuts her out of meetings. And so she's like, I have to go get buy-in from this person. Wow. Okay. Stressful. So what does she do? Well, she uses the program tools to help her prepare for that meeting in a short time period, to help her think through what is her goal for the meeting, to help her be really concise and articulate, to present her idea in a really compelling way, and to address the concerns that the stakeholders will have. The meeting went so well that she was able to proactively address the concerns from everybody, including that dominant personality. And by the end of the 30-minute meeting, she got a yes from everybody on her budget ask, including that difficult stakeholder. She walked out of the meeting feeling more confident and empowered than she ever had been. Because not only has she gotten a yes, but she now knew that she had the tools that no matter what situation she got dropped into, she would be able to handle it. That is a secret of knowing how to influence, knowing how to get buy-in. You know that no matter what situation you get dropped into, you can handle it. Whether it is a last minute meeting, whether it is a stakeholder pushing back on you in front of everybody else, whether it is an ad hoc conversation in the hallway, someone pulls you aside and be like, what do you think about this? Maybe it's a comment in a meeting. It doesn't matter, because once you have developed this habit, on the spot, you can deliver a really compelling idea, comment, argument. So now let's talk about demeanor, presence. Now, we've all gotten feedback one way or the other, whether you have it or you don't. And presence is something that's hard to measure. It's all in the eye of the beholder. It's how your colleagues perceive you. It's a really vague term, but you can really boil it down to, how are you presenting yourself? How composed are you in, for example, stressful situations? When you're answering a lot of questions, how are you answering them? Are you coming across as calm? Or are you coming across as stressed? That all impacts how people think you have presence. The good news is you can develop presence. It's not something that we're born with. And it's made up of verbal and nonverbal cues. So a big one is, the things that we say impact how people perceive us. So put a yes in the chat if you are guilty of saying sorry for the sake of it. Sorry, I have something to add. Sorry, I just have a quick question. Put a yes in the chat if you are guilty of that. Yes, totally me. Yes, 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 yes. Haha, yes, yes, yes. All right. If this is you, and we have so many, actually in the program, when we were going through this, one of our risers, Kendi, was like, yeah, I say sorry all the time. I even say sorry to my sofa when I bump into it. So maybe you even resonate with that. But wherever you are on the spectrum, if you are someone who says sorry for the sake of it, instead of apologizing, here's a few phrases that you can say instead. Instead of saying sorry to bother you, you can say, do you have a minute? Sorry, I messed up. I'll fix that now. Now, for example, the sorry to bother you, why are you apologizing to your teammate that you're working on a project together for? So let's say you need to meet with them on a project. Like, why are you saying like, sorry to bother you for 5 minutes? Like, you're not asking them for a favor. You both need to work on this together. Sorry, I didn't realize. Thanks for pointing this out. Sorry, I didn't understand. Can you help me understand? Now, maybe you didn't understand, or maybe that person didn't explain it properly. Why are you unnecessarily assuming that you're at fault? Same way as you are sometimes not very clear, other people are too. The reason why I bring this up, because the words that we use impact how we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us. So it's really important to be mindful of how are you coming across? What are the words that you're using to convey your idea? For example, Natalie at Salesforce, she was an engineer. When she was going through the program, she realized like, oh, wow, yes, I do say sorry a lot. And so she committed to herself to not say sorry for the next 2 weeks. Very quickly, she started getting feedback from her team, her manager, saying like, wow, Natalie, something's changed. Like your ideas are so good now. Nothing changed. Only that one simple change can have such a powerful impact. All right, co-creation. And sorry if I'm going on mute sometimes. Actually getting over COVID, but luckily much better now. And so I could be here with you today. So, but getting that lingering cough, which I'm sure many of you can relate to, hope maybe not, which is good for you. So, but super excited to be here. So like, I can't miss this. But let's talk about the last part, co-creation. So co-creation is about getting people invested in your ideas. And really about, and this is the one big thing that we miss. Because when you get people invested in your ideas, they feel on the same team as you. They don't throw you under the bus. Co-creation, getting people invested, is not sending someone, your teammate, a deck for you at 5 p.m. for a 9 a.m. meeting the next day. Co-creation is actually spending that time to work through with them on the deck, to get their input, to revise it in a way that they feel bought into. Now, you can co-create in any situation. Even when you're asking for a raise, a promotion, you can co-create to get alignment on your recommendation, to ask for a process change, to raise a problem, to drive to align on what the goals should be for the quarter. Co-creation is a powerful, powerful tool that you can be using in any situation, even in daily stand-up meetings, team meetings, like to co-create on like, are you using your time in a valuable way? So a big way to co-create, a really powerful one, is to co-create with dominant personalities. Now, these are really people who, I mean, if you've worked with them, you know exactly, even without me explaining it, but, you know, just to help like remind you, these are people who don't respect our opinion, who make us feel small, who, you know, when I'm around them, I often question my expertise. I get a tightness in my chest when I work with them. I dread it. I feel really shaky. It doesn't feel like we're seen as equal partners. And so you can co-create with dominant personalities using these tools. So 3 strategies that you can use to help in these situations is 1, gain the respect. If you do nothing else, gain the respect, because nothing else will matter if you can't do that. A big one is, you know, when you first start meeting with them, use data to convince them of your ideas. Not just, hey, you should follow this because I said so. You should follow this because here's all the data that proves that this is the best idea to follow. Especially because first impressions matter. So come in strong, be able to showcase your expertise and also have that data to back it up. Second, leverage allies. Having your manager, having your colleagues vouch for you is really powerful. Having your manager be saying, you know, Sarah's the point person on this project. You should go to her for any questions you have on this. Or Tanya, you've worked on this before. Like, what do you think? We'd love to get your input on here. That goes such a strong way because you have social credibility right there. And the third part is recognize that often when dominant personalities are treating you like that, it's not about you. Maybe they are under pressure at work. Maybe this project is really important to make sure that their team hits their goals or that they get promoted. Maybe they have something stressful going on at home. Maybe they don't even realize how they're making you feel. So realizing that, remind yourself of that can be really empowering to recognize when they are shutting you down. While it does not make their behavior okay, it's important to realize that this is not even about you. It's about them. And co-creating can be a really, really powerful tool. For example, this is Satang. She is a program manager at Twilio. And so she was, during the program, when she was wrapping up, graduating from Arise Leadership Accelerator, she was sitting in a meeting where she was meeting with the CFO and multiple other stakeholders. She's one of the more junior people in the room. And so Twilio is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're going around, and the CFO was asking about budget needs. And so she had used the Arise tools to help her prepare for her budget ask. And so when the time came to ask for the budget, she was able to stand up and confidently articulate her case, to push back, and was able on that spot to be granted $1 million of budget for her team. That is incredible. That is what, when you know how to co-create, when you know how to influence, you are able to get the outcomes that you need, that your team needs to be successful. I'm so, so proud of Satang. She was able to take these tools and implement them right away and make sure she was getting the resources that she needed to be successful and to stand up for herself, to advocate for her team. And that is why knowing all these skills is so, so important. So in summary, we went over the Ascend framework to get buy-in. Ally, storytelling, co-creating, empathetic listening, numbers and data, and demeanor. This is a step-by-step playbook that you can use to make sure that you're able to get support on your ideas every single time. You're able to see it as a valued teammate. So now in Arise, we're all about action. So I want to take a few moments and have you first reflect on, where do you want to be 6 months from now? Maybe for you, I want to get promoted. Maybe you want to be working on a new project. Maybe you want to fix a relationship at work. Maybe you want to develop a new skill. Maybe you want to feel more confident. Think about that for yourself. Where do you want to be 6 months from now? And then what's one strategy that you're going to make a commitment to yourself to apply right away? Where do you want to be 6 months from now? And basically, how are you going to get there? What's one thing you're going to do to make sure you're able to achieve that goal? Maybe you are going to make an ask for your manager about joining the project. Maybe you're going to start speaking up more in meetings. Maybe you're going to take a course to help you develop the skills you need in order to get that promotion. What is it? What's one thing you're going to make a commitment to yourself to apply right away? I want to think about that. I'm going to play some music and just drop it in the chat. What's one thing you're going to apply right away? Drop it in the chat. Take a moment to reflect and drop it in the chat. Maybe it's you're going to stop saying sorry. Managing a team. I love that, Ally. That's a great goal. Yeah, how are you going to get there? Co-creation with dominant personalities. Yes. Showing up at the table. What's the strategy that you're going to make a commitment to yourself? What's that commitment you're going to make to yourself? You showed up here, which is so amazing. How are you going to take that to the next level? Not being afraid to ask questions. Meetings. Yep. Further developing a relationship with senior leaders, taking in product management, working on my delivery, working on co-creating rather than running after the dominant, than running from the dominant personality. Ooh, I love that, Jessie. That's my delivery. Oh, I see some friends here. Oh my God, hi, Alex. That's so fun. Cool, I love that. This is so special. We have women from all over the world here. And then I love it that we're making these connections. So, so fun. Providing confident recommendations concisely to leadership. Yes. I like this. Too many people focus on five years, 6 months is tangible. I want to develop my relationship. Yes. Yeah, let's break it down. Like, think, yes, you should have long-term goals, but let's think about like, where are you going to go from here? And like, how are you actually going to get there? It's really amazing. So let's wrap up. Put your last couple goals in the chat. Don't overthink it. What's one strategy that you're going to use to make a commitment to yourself? So in Arise, we're all about action and accountability. So now that you have this goal for yourself, I want you to think about how are you actually going to make sure you implement it? When you say I'm going to provide confident recommendations concisely to my leadership, how are you going to make sure that you're actually being confident? How are you going to make sure you're actually providing them concisely? To stop saying sorry, how do you make sure that you're actually going to implement that instead of going back to your old habits? My recommendation, form a group of like-minded women who have gone through similar challenges as you, who know your relationship, like who know your situations, but at the same time, they are able to really, they're really able to relate to the challenges that you're facing because they're going through the same thing. They're also at top companies like you. You know, in Arise, we handpick and curate small groups of high caliber, low ego women, people from different companies, because then you don't have to worry about things getting back to your manager or your reputation getting impacted at the company. You're able to openly talk. So if you're like, oh, I really need this, has been so effective, but I'm too busy, I just want someone to go do this for me, or I don't even know how I would do this for myself, then I'd love for you to come join us in the Arise Leadership Accelerator. It is really I love it so much. It's, you know, let me tell you more about it. So really, it's really about for you, if you're someone who wants to confidently speak up in meetings, even when you don't have all the information, or their senior people, leaders. And I saw that in many of your goals, where it's like, I want to be confidently share, especially with around executives. If this is you, or if you're someone who wants your team to be excited to hear, if you want your team to be excited to hear about your opinion, you want them to be like, what do you have to say, Julia, Allie? Like, I would love to hear from you. If you want to be able to get a yes on your recommendation, even from dominant personalities, when you speak, people listen instead of shutting you down. It's like when you imagine this, you're driving down a road, you hit green light after green light after green light. It feels so good. If you want to feel like that in meetings, when you go into a meeting, you know you got this. You know you're actually going to get the yes. You want people to come follow you and be like, what do you think about this? If you're someone who you want your leadership team to value you as an irreplaceable team member, you want executives to talk about you and be like, oh yeah, let's make sure that she's on this big project. You want to be on the fast track to get promoted. If you were nodding your head, you're like, yeah, I want this. I want all of this. Then I'd love for you to come join us in the Arise Leadership Accelerator. It's a 6-week online leadership program for women like you to develop the skills that you need and the step-by-step playbooks and the scripts to be able to combat imposter syndrome, to feel more confident, to be able to win over difficult stakeholders, to get a yes on your ideas, to be able to give difficult feedback. And when that person gets defensive, you're able to push back and get them to actually accept the feedback that you're giving them. Basically, we cover all the things that keep us up at night, but we never ever talk about. And today I shared stories with you from graduates from these top companies, including how they got promoted faster. Diana from SAP, she joined us shortly after returning from parental leave. And she was able to use the program tools to get promoted to a management position within a few weeks of joining the program. I've shared with you how they were able to get a yes on their ideas, get more budget, advocate for themselves, gain more confidence, be able to hold themselves in leadership meetings, to get promoted faster. How the program works is we have a really unique approach. First, learn by doing. No more theory. We actually talk about how do you actually implement it. We talk about step-by-step playbooks, including what do you do when things go wrong? Because things always go wrong. So how do you navigate those situations? For example, when you give feedback and someone pushes back, what do you say? What do you do to get them to listen to you? Every week, we go through a new module. You'll watch video lessons at your own pace, and we'll come together for live group discussions, including circles, which is everyone's favorites. It's an intimate conversation with your peers where you get support on your real-time challenges. And then you'll complete exercises on your own work. So people are seeing immediate impact. Week 1, people are coming back and being like, oh my gosh, the stakeholder who always says no to me is now saying yes. Thanks to I just implemented the storytelling framework from the program. People describe these tools as the emergency toolkit. their Bible. They use it even years later, which has been so amazing to see. And you're going to go through this with a community of like-minded women. It's been empowering for our arisers to see, oh, wow, a bunch of other smart, qualified, talented women from around the world face the same exact challenges that I do. Getting support from women who get it alongside of proven frameworks that have been created for you by experts in the field. And you get to learn faster because you get to learn not only from your own mistakes and challenges, but also from others in the community with you. It's like when you're in school and the professor asks if you have a question, you're like, no, I get it. But then someone else asks the question and you're like, oh yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. The same thing happens in the program. And last but not least, accountability. Let's face it, we're busy. So really helping you develop the habits and the frameworks, making it super easy for you, breaking it down to help you actually reach your goals, to get that change. How long have you been like, yeah, I need to get promoted. I'm struggling with this, but then you just punt it. I'm too busy to figure out how to go do it. I don't know how to go do it. We help just get you there by hand holding you. So this is interesting too. I'm excited to offer you an early bird tuition. The fee is $2,500. We can send you a sponsorship reimbursement letter if you want to talk to your manager about reimbursing it. Also, a lot of people pay out of pocket. We have payment plans available. So if you're interested in that, early bird tuition does expire soon around it. And really, you know, I want to share this like amazing story from Jazz. So Jazz is customer experience manager at Fair, and she just graduated from our last cohort. She was like, it's insane the results I got coming out of the program, because she got promoted to take on 2 critical business areas within a couple of weeks of graduating from the program. And so she was like, I use the program tools to, one, fix a relationship with my manager. And I mean, I'm sure many of us had tense relationships with our managers and with key stakeholders. And it's not that it's bad. It's just like, you know, how do you work better with people around you? And she was also able to use this to really angle herself, position herself, so people saw that she could take on this additional responsibility. And that is a result you can get from the program. Even in these shaky markets, her company had budget cuts, was doing layoffs. But even with that, she was able to take on this additional responsibility because of her new skills. She was able to drive a bigger impact. And her story is not uncommon. For example, many arisers have gotten a really high return on their investment in the program. For example, one of our other grads got a $23,000 pay increase after graduating from Arise. Her equity option is doubled and she got a bigger title. And so already within a few months of graduating, she got 20,000 back. She earned 20,000 more than she would have before she joined Arise. And when I first, I was like, I hope that's the goal. And it's been so amazing for so many of our graduates come back to us and be like, guess what, Shwani, I just got promoted and I couldn't have done it without this program. And that's why I want to share these stories with you, to help you understand what is the options and what are you getting yourself into. So if this sounds really interesting and you're like, I'm ready to invest myself, then I would encourage you to apply today, because our cohorts always sell out. The program starts on October 19th. We're going to drop the application link in the chat. I would recommend it takes less than 4 minutes to apply. When you're applying, note that you joined today's workshop, because we'll make sure we fast track the application. You will get the early bird tuition, but also when you apply today, and we will expedite it so you can reserve your seat by tomorrow. When you do that, you will get invited to a bonus private coaching session with me later this month. So you don't even have to wait until the program starts. Let's start diving into your challenges now. So only way to do that, apply now. The link is in the chat also. It takes less than 4 minutes. Mention that you joined this workshop, and then we will send you the reservation link, assuming that you're fit for the program. And if you confirm by tomorrow, you'll get that bonus private session plus the early bird tuition. And really, this is for you if you are someone who wants to invest in their career. If you're ready to stop waiting for other people to give you that promotion, you're like, I just need to take this in my own hands. If you want to have a voice at the table, if you want to be a part of the decision-making process instead of being told what to do. If you're tired of being shut down in meetings, if you're tired of feeling shaky, doubting your abilities, feeling stressed at work, you want to take control of your career, you want to get to that, and you just want to get promoted faster. End of the year is coming up. Those promotion conversations are starting. So what are you going to do to make sure you're set up, to make sure you're getting that promotion that you so deserve? So while you are completing that, just take a couple minutes. You can complete it right now. And then our team's standing by to make sure that expedite that. And while you are completing this, let's dive into any questions that you might have. So again, drop any questions that you have in the Q&A icon and we can take it from there. So I see a question here from Heather. How do you co-create and still take credit for the idea, not let the dominant personality take the credit? That's a great one. So I think a big part of co-creating doesn't mean that like your name can't be on it at all. Co-creating can be, it's like, hey, I have, for example, if you put together a proposal, you can put draft on top of it. Even a simple thing, putting draft will help people understand, like, you're not telling them what to do. You're here to have the conversation with them. And so around this, how do you co-create around this is like, you can be the person who's owning the communication outwards. People tend to associate who's sharing the communication out with the with the wins, with the impact. And then around it, and I think the other thing you'll see is that you don't always have to be like, this was my idea, because people will know around you. And if you're like, that's not happening, then even talk to your manager, like, I'm working with this stakeholder, let's say they're the dominant personality, and on this idea, I pitched them this idea, we're like working on like collaborating on it. And so that way your manager, for example, knows that this is your idea, but you're not being like, oh, by the way, that was my idea. You're like, hey, you're framing it as a way, like just keeping you in the loop. I had this idea. I'm now working with this counterpart, with our teammate on like how to make this idea better and how to get them on board with it. So those are a couple of ways that you can use to co-create and still get credit for the ideas. Will the recording be shared? Yes, it will definitely be shared. So we will email you the recording afterwards around it. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for that. And I'm glad you had a really amazing time. Thank you for that. Next question is being liked more important than raising valid objections or questions with solutions? I wouldn't personally frame it that way or think about it that way. They have to go. I actually don't think those two things are in conflict. And the reason why I say that is, and I get that question all the time. I'm like, how do I balance being nice versus like being right or getting things done? And it's like, those two things don't have to be in conflict. Like, yes, there can be bias in the workplace, but if we park that aside for a moment and it's just like our own misconceptions of what's holding us back, the thing is, actually, you can still raise valid objections, but always ask why. Hey, I noticed for example, I noticed in this report that you shared that these two numbers didn't match up. I'm just asking to make sure like I'm understanding this correctly. Like, does this make sense? Or, we have this proposal. I'm wondering, I'm just thinking out loud here because I know we all are interested in making sure this goes off smoothly. Like, could this end up being a problem? So like framing it, always like asking the why, not just be like, hey, I think this is a problem, but be as like, here's why I think it's really important for me to raise this. So people know that you're not trying to be difficult, that you're actually just trying to like help the team move forward. So amazing. Thank you so much for your energy. I want to give you some time to be able to like reflect on this. We've covered so much. You have created these commitments for yourself. Now think about, how are you going to actually follow through on your commitment? So when you're saying, I'm going to share with leadership my ideas more concisely, more confidently, I'm going to stop saying sorry. What are the actions that you're actually going to implement in order to go do that? If you want the step-by-step tools to help you go do that in a really, really short time period within the next few weeks, then I'd love for you to come see us and join us in the Rise Leadership Accelerator. We already have women from Google and Salesforce and Starbucks and Uber and all these other companies joining us. And it's just going to be, the energy is off the walls. And so if you're interested, we just dropped a link in the application link in the chat. So come join us. Again, if you apply by today and reserve by tomorrow, you will get both bonuses and make sure you get the early bird tuition too. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care, enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye all.